All right, everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of EnigmaCast. I want to say this is episode 10. Maybe not. Could be 11. I don't know. Rooster is still in a ditch somewhere burying cable, but I brought back Jay again from the void. Jay,
how's it going? How are you doing?
That's it, man. How you doing? How you doing, everybody? It's good. It's good. Just don't get too excited, Jay. Don't get too excited.
Hey, you know.
Well,
I'm been watching this piece of footage you sent me.
All right. Well, look, check it out. Enough of this child's play stuff, talking about CERN reactors and physics. Enough of that. All right. We're getting serious. Okay. You know what?
Right,
one of the things I will not tolerate on this channel is tomfoolery, hijinks, or whatever. So what we're going to talk about today, y'all? Shenanigans. Thank you. We're going to get serious around here, y'all. We're going to talk about Bigfoots, y'all. That's right. Bigfoots. If you didn't know that's what this channel was about, you're about to find out. And we're going to get into some deep dive stuff right here. But in order for us to get back into it, like our Christmas or New Year's special was, we went back and we gave Roswell the proper apology for ever doubting them. I'm going to go back and talk about to what I consider to be the Rosetta Stone, or the first video that I ever saw about Bigfoots. And this Bigfoot it's actually called the Patterson-Gimlin film, and it was filmed October 20, 1967. So a lot of you guys, if you've never seen that before, I'm actually going to pause right here, show the video, and then Jay and I'll pick up right after. So watch this video. And welcome back. All right. So now, what you just saw, just to give you a little bit of context, this is known as the Patterson-Gimlin film. It was filmed October 20th, 1967 by two gentlemen, one guy named Roger Patterson, the other one called Bob Gilman. Henceforth, they get the name Patterson-Gimlin film. And it was actually filmed in Northern California in a place called Bluff Creek, actually the Six Rivers National Forest, right? If you want to Google that or look that up and go to it on there. So Jay, are you familiar with the video?
Yeah, I am. I've seen this thing. I didn't know what it was called, but right. I've seen it a bunch of times. Like it stabilized and analyzed and X-rayed and so all kinds of different ways.
So yeah, I'm gonna admit something dark in my past here. All right,
you dressed up in a suit?
No, I always thought somebody would like, what if you dress up in a Bigfoot suit and someone puts a round in your head? Bigfoot, right? You know I'm saying, like, exactly. So I'm not really doing that, right?
But yeah, it's not a good plan.
I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. I'm not too proud of y'all. It's taken me a long time to get here, Jay. So just if a tear rolls down my face,
okay, I'll look away.
I've not always been a believer. To my shame. To my shame, I've not always been a believer. And when I saw this video for the first time, I poo-pooed it. And I'm talking about like I poo-pooed it hard. Like that is.
Well, to be fair, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It looked like a dude in a suit
walking
through the forest.
And so, but I recently there's a reason why I specifically picked this one to go back to it as the first thing I ever saw, is because some things have recently came to light that I've had to watch and did some research on. And I encourage anybody that watches this video to do the same. It's actually starting to give me a moment of pause. And I was like, all right. And I'm going to share those with you as we unpack the situation here.
Okay. So what are we talking about? Like, analyzation of the footage, or
here's what I'm going to talk about. First of all, we're going to analyze this footage, and then I'm going to ask I'm going to ask some questions, man. I'm going to share some data that I've gathered on my journey into the Bigfoot world, but also then we're going to talk about, like, are these things interdimensional? Are they UFOs? Are they aliens? Are they some type of cryptids or whatever? We're going to dig into all that stuff, right? But before I do that, I want to give you guys a fun fact that I didn't know about until literally hours and hours before. Someone has taken the time and they have classified in North America supposedly there are 10 types of Bigfoots, Jay. Did you know that?
No.
And
I didn't know there were 10.
So,
I knew that there were different names
yeah,
for kind of the same thing, like
right.
Sasquatch and
Right.
Wendigo and stuff like that. But I think, I didn't know there were 10.
Yeah, somebody's classified.
Just in North America, right?
North America, right? So
Yeah.
So there's 10 types. I'm not going to go into the 10 types. I haven't studied them all, but fun fact that the number one type, they call them type 1 Bigfoots, are referred to as Patties because of the Patterson-Gimlin film. I did not know that. So these are what you have to, these are the criteria that you have to meet to be considered a patty, right?
All right.
Patty Bigfoots are usually considered 13 to 15 feet tall, black hair. Did not know that. Not brown hair, black hair. 13 to 15 feet tall, normally with black hair. Some of them have brown hair, but I guess it's the size is one of the qualifications.
Okay.
4 foot wide shoulders, and they are normally considered to be in the northwest region of the United States of America, pushing up into Canada, northwest, over in that area up there, right up into that's part of North America. Northwest, right? North. And they are considered to be the most gentle and shyest of the Bigfoot or Sasquatch or whatever, and they are considered omnivores and carnivores. Now, so
they're shy. They're shy vegetarians.
Yeah, that can eat meat, right? And they're not. These are supposedly not aggressive, very shy, avoidance type, right? They'll avoid you when they can, even though they can easily pop your head off. They'll avoid you if you can, right? And
like a black bear opposed to a polar bear.
Exactly. So that's actually a good point that you brought up, man. Is because Yetis out of the Himalayas are often referred to as mean as polar bears, and the brown Bigfoots that are in the southern part of America are considered to be very, very mean, and they consider them the grizzly bear. So yes, so exactly right. These are like the black bears that will avoid you if they can. People. Yeah, exactly, man. So, anyways,
well, what about crossbreeds? Are there crossbreeds?
So that's a good question.
Can the different types of, because bears can interbreed.
Yeah.
Can Bigfoots interbreed?
So I'm not an expert on the mating habits of Bigfoots, but I did happen to, in my research, come along, and some people say they will not. You will not see a patty mate with a skunk ape. You won't see it.
Skunk ape?
Skunk apes are considered swamp Bigfoots down there in Louisiana.
Swamp thing.
Swamp thing. Yeah. Swamp apes, man. Usually down in Louisiana, down through the Florida
bayou.
Yeah, the bayou things or whatever. They call them actually wood boogers for some reason. I don't know why they call them wood boogers, but so they say they will not crossbreed.
Good Lord. A bunch of Creole guys down in
wood boogers, man.
New Orleans coming up with crazy names for Bigfoot. All right, cool.
Whatever, whatnot, man. So I'm
skunk ape, and I don't even want to repeat the other one because I'm going to mess that one up in a bad way.
Yes, wood boogers, skunk apes, man. Skunk apes are supposedly down in the Everglades, down in Florida.
Okay,
they're supposed to have a reddish orange tint to them.
Like orangutans.
Yeah, exactly, right. And so the Bigfoot out of Louisiana are supposed to be mean as hell, by the way. Mean as hell out of Louisiana.
Okay.
And so it's actually funny, like one of our episodes we did here, I think it was episode 2, we talked a little bit about Bigfoots. And we had a guy reach out in our comments. He subscribed to the channel. And I'm not going to put his name out there or anything, but he reached out to us online, and he actually told me a pretty awesome Bigfoot story that happened to him. And I'm not going to name I'm not going to give his state or anything. Like, I want to respect his privacy. I actually invited him on to the show to talk about it, but he was like, "Yeah, I don't want the heat, man. I don't." And like I told him, man, 100%, man, big respect, right? Me and you and my cousin, we don't care. People throw rocks at us for whatever, man. It doesn't bother me, right? But like, I totally get it, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna leave out his state, but he told me a story, man, that where he worked like us. He works a lot in his garage and just does his little hobbies, right? Like he does his things out there.
Right.
Kept having these feelings, man. Obviously, he was in a fairly remote place. He had these feelings, man, that something was just eyeballing him, right, man? And so any human being that's ever been alive more than 20 minutes, like you can feel somebody staring a hole in you, right? Like you totally can.
Your
right?
your eyes creep across somebody's back, somebody's neck all the time.
Yeah,
you can
man.
feel it.
So you can feel it, man. And so he just said, like, hey, man, I just kept getting this feeling, right? Like this story's pretty cool, right? Summer night or whatever, outside, just doing his thing in the dark. Of course, he's doing his thing or whatever. Felt like something was eyeballing him, and nothing happened. Got up the next day, went out, man. Had footprints out there, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, that's some good physical evidence out there, right? So like, he took them or whatever, took a look at it, man, and he just, could just feel that, off in the dark, right? And like me and you've got a lot of time in the woods, and you've told some stories. My cousin Rooster has too, but the woods at night, the woods at night, the woods at night, man, are unsettling, right? Enough as it is.
It is. I've been a lot of places. I've been a lot of places at night, like just to compare, right? I mean, spent some night while we were out traveling. I spent a couple nights out in the Australian Outback.
Oh,
right?
Nice.
Like just in the middle of nowhere with nothing around, and we were lucky because there was a lot of there was at least a half moon, if not a full moon, right? Because it was very bright at night. But every place is different, right? Like the night in the desert was clear and really, really surprisingly cold. Having never been like a desert kid, I've lived on the up and down the East Coast, and I'm a forest kid, right? Like I'm not a desert kid. I don't understand the rules, right? Mm-hmm. So it got real cold real quick, and I just was not prepared.
Yeah,
but
Rooster lives out in the desert, man. He says it gets cold as hell out there at night, man. Yeah,
it does, man. It was brutal, and but like being in South Georgia and up north, and the woods of Connecticut and Massachusetts too. Growing up as a kid, like it's all different places, and there's a different feel to each place.
Yeah, it has a weight, right? Would you say it has a weight to it, right?
It does. I mean, you can almost feel the age of a place right at night because it's quiet, and the farther away from the road you are, the kind of the stiller it becomes, and you feel kind of like what's around you,
Yeah.
It's a pretty interesting adventure.
So when you camped out there in the middle of Australia, was it fairly dark and clear, or was it just dark?
It was surprisingly bright.
Yeah.
Now, here's what I remember. I went to bed with everything I had with me because we were hiking. Mm-hmm. Everything I had with me on. This was just a very impromptu, kind of like stupid mistake. But anyway, I put everything on, everything I had on, and I was cold. And I woke up at I want to say 2-3 in the morning because it was, I don't know, that's when I woke up. And I went to go light the fire so I could warm up. And I looked up and I could see the Milky Way, the galaxy, the line, right? Dang. And it's the first time I'd ever seen that. It's the first time I'd ever been to a place that was that dark.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it was that was
when I was on Diego Garcia for a year, man, I could see it every night, dude. The Milky Way every single night, man. There was no light pollution out there, man. None. You're in the middle of the Indian Ocean, man. Like every night, I used to go outside and look out there, man. Be like, great. So, anyways, so he told me that story, man, and I was like, man, that's cool, right? But then, I get it, man. Some people would, are jerks. But anyways, so before we go any further, man, are you a believer?
I don't know, man. I believe in a lot of stuff. Bigfoot, I have never seen what I would consider rock solid evidence to say yes.
Right.
I've never had a personal experience either, so
True.
I can't say. Now, I'm never one to rule something out entirely and say, yeah, that just doesn't exist because I don't know that for a fact, right?
Right.
I got to admit though, I haven't really dove much into it, you know.
So do you want me to tell you, man, what made me a believer?
Absolutely.
Is that, man, I grew up in the South, man, and a lot of Native American like legends, man, that like they in this town called Jonesboro, Tennessee, right? Upper East Johnson City or Upper East Tennessee. Every year they have this thing called like a storyteller week or whatever, man. Like and like the world's greatest storytellers go. You can look it up. It's like it's a big deal, like that stuff. I forget what it's called though, but they go there. And they used to come to our schools, man, and like during that week they would come to our schools. And bro, man, like they had this one storyteller came in there and she told us this story one time about these, like this, you know, like the legend of like the Bigfoots, right? At an early age, man, it got its hooks in me and my cousin too. But it wasn't until later on in life, man, that like when I started like really appreciating like history and like Native American folklore and how it was passed down. There's over 100 words for Sasquatch in North America by the Indian tribes. 100. There's over 100 words. Look it up, right? There's over 100 words for Sasquatch. Nothing make believe gets that many words. You understand, right? So like nothing. You know like Baba Yaga, the boogeyman. There ain't 100 different words for the boogie. There's not 100 different words for that, man. And so in one condensed area, the North Americas, all the way up, you know, again, Canada, all the way up to the top. They have over 100 words
for this thing
that they've seen, right? And so, you know what, man? And then there's actually a really, really great story, man, about a tribe of Native Americans out in California near Mount Shasta that went to war with these things, right? Because these things were taking their kids, right? And there was like a treaty, right? So yeah, it's great. So anyway, so that's what got me into this. All right, so boom, we're back onto this, right? We're going to talk about patties, all right? The patty classification. We're not going to talk about the other 9 because I only know what the other 2 was. The one's called the Googway. I don't even know what that means. I didn't even do much research on it. But there's 7 more I didn't even look into. So we're talking about the patties, right? And specifically this video. And so like the video that everybody that we watched at the beginning of this is basically the story is that Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin were on horseback. So evidently where they were at in this place in the park, 6 Rivers National Forest. If anybody's watching this, happened to ever been to that place, please let us know how remote it is. They were on horseback, right? And the story was they were just out there doing the thing, and like out of the blue, this thing comes out, right? Now, I initially dismissed it because it is grainy. I don't even know, 9mm tape or whatever they were using back in 1967 or whatever, whatnot.
8mm?
Something like that, man. You know, maybe, hey, look at there, Will.
Yeah.
They're cranking it. I don't even know.
Probably had one of those little 8mm trigger cams, right?
Yeah, something, right? But this is what I didn't know about this until recently. What we see for that video is actually about 10 or 15 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
They actually filmed it for a solid minute. There's actually, for that entire video, is 60 seconds of video, right?
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, they instantly describe it as being a female. I never knew that. But in the video, they described that as they could tell that it was a female, right? So
you can tell.
Yeah.
If you look when she turns around, yep, she's female.
So they said it was a female. And I have never heard of a female Bigfoot ever getting reported before. And this whole time I thought that video was first of all, I thought it was a dude that was about 6'5" in a suit, right? But it's not. That thing's 13 feet tall.
It full on does look like a dude in a suit, at first glance, right?
At first glance, right?
When it turns,
yeah, and here's look at the face.
Yeah, I see the face.
Right, and so that's the thing that threw me off. It was like, okay,
you can kind of grab.
So I didn't know that it was a female. I didn't know that there was 1 minute of video footage on this. I didn't know that the story that it was the whole entire time was that nothing has ever changed from the story. That lends credibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here's where it goes. Here's where it goes even deeper into it. With modern technology now, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have been able to put some type of filter on it, right, to clean it up, basically turning it into like some type of HD, right? Somehow, I don't know how they do it.
They upscaled it.
Yeah, they upscaled it or whatever, and they do it right. And you can clearly see the facial features of this of the. I don't know if it's in the footage that we saw, but it's all over YouTube. I just didn't want to copyright anybody's grab, right? So I had to go to the original.
Right.
You can clearly see the facial features, right? And the facial, and so I thought that for a costume in 1967, that might be hard to fake, right? The facial features, right? But I tell you what, that's not what sold me. What sold me is that somebody took the video and threw some type of AI calculations on it or whatever. And based on the objects that were around the Bigfoot when they were walking, they were able to measure their gait and say that, yes, this is a 13-foot tall something walking based on the stride. So when we look at it, it looks like somebody's taking like just like hobbit steps or whatever. Like just like it looks like somebody was like, to me it looked like somebody was like stomping in the suit. But when their size comparison is added in based on the math that went into it, they're taking their stride is common, or their stride is what a 13-foot person's stride would be. So I don't know if it was like a 5 or 6 foot stride or 7 foot stride or something like that they were taking.
You know what gets me? I looked at I'm looking at something on YouTube, you know, and it did blow up the face in the kind of pulled the frame up of it when it turns around and looks. And not to be vulgar, but it's female.
Yeah.
When you're faking something like that, to go into the level of detail that I just saw on that particular piece of footage, I mean, that puts some doubt in my mind, right? I feel like that amount of detail would be overlooked, so to speak. Do you know what I mean?
Today was the first day I've ever heard that it was a female.
Yeah, but no, when you look at the footage and you kind of, if you freeze frame it at when they're looking, when it turns and looks at you, and it is blown up a little bit, you can plainly see that it's female. It has some secondary female sexual characteristics that are fairly plain to see.
Has some female equipment with it, right?
Yeah. I mean, and so for me, just thinking about how people are, right? Mm-hmm. Faking a suit, you know, with those prosthetics,
weird,
right? Like,
yeah, no,
and prosthetics, not good prosthetics, like pretty much how it would look if you were thinking about it, right?
She works hard for the money, man. Hey, she works hard for that money, man.
Yeah, no, I have not seen that footage in that kind of light before, and that.
Me neither.
It's interesting. It's an interesting perspective, right? Like slowing it down and really looking at it upscaled. Either somebody really thought this through, right? I don't know. No. It's definitely interesting to think about, though, for sure.
That's had to make me go back and rethink myself on that as well, man, and not to be a little bit too much, you know, just outright like dismissive. But then it goes on to something else, right? So. Now, here's the question, man, that leads into on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are these things gigantic pithecosauruses, which I don't think they are, right? Like, I don't know if you've heard of these things before. There was a primate in North America that was 15 feet tall, way back in the day, 100,000 years ago, whatever. It's called. I'm probably destroying that name, Gigantus Pithecanthropus or whatever.
Gigantopithecus.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Or is it won't even use the word cryptid or whatever. Is it a species of something that has just managed to remain, undetected or unhidden, right? So so here's the thing I have with it. Or is it interdimensional? And I'll give you some people. I'll tell you a story too that I heard about why people think they're interdimensional.
Okay.
Or are they alien, right? So like all these things that come across, right?
Right. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. The whole alien thing. Is it alien? Is it not alien? Yeah. Anyway.
So the Native Americans put a spiritual aspect on these things, right? They put a spiritual aspect on it, right? And it's like, I don't want to put something out there that I've never heard of, but I've never heard them outright say these things are of the spirit world, but there is like some type of like spiritual aspect to it. And the story about the tribe that went to war with them in Mount Shasta, they were able to kill them, right? So obviously there is some kind of mortal coil to these things or whatever to go back with it. But here's a theory that I propose to you as well, man. And so what if these things, man, are times 10 smarter than us, right? And that's something I think about a lot, right? It's like, what if these things are just, what if their intelligence is something that we can't even, grasp because we judge them as like, oh, look, they're just big apes or whatever, whatnot, right? Like they're big. But what if these things are actually, man, like way, I'm talking about way smarter than us, right? Like way smarter than us. And so the reason why they, we don't ever find them is because they don't want to be found. And number two, a lot of people, I hear a lot of people will say, I hear a lot of people who don't have a lot of experience in the wilderness say, oh, well, how come we never found any bones? Okay. Name the last time you found a deer bone walking in the woods. When's the last time you found any bones walking through the woods? Tell them, Jay. You're not finding.
Well, I mean, I have, but it's been rare. It's been extremely rare.
And we're not talking about like going down to the local park and walking a mile and a half and doing the blue trail on your phone. That's not in the woods.
No.
The forest, especially the remote forest, is very, very, very good at the circle of life and cleaning up things.
Yeah,
right?
It eats everything.
So nothing goes to waste, right? So not being able to find a bone of an animal in the woods. Matter of fact, I found a dog skull one time. A dog skull, right? One time when I was in the woods hiking, and I was like at the time 15 years old. I had a 410 shotgun, and I think I was with Rooster actually. We were walking through the woods, and I found a dog skull, and it was the only time I've ever found a bone of any sort in the woods. And I've been to some remote places, even in Japan, man. I've been to some remote places, right?
And you got to go to one specific forest to find bones.
Yeah, exactly, right. We don't want to get a strike on that yet. So, and those are the type of bones that we want to find on there, right? But so
it's rare, right? And the other thing is, okay, so I have a relative who lives near in a big state forest, like a big remote one, right? Old forest, and he goes out in that forest literally every day, like every day that he can move himself, right? Because he's getting older now. He spends his day out in that forest, and like even he'll tell you, he's seen some weird stuff, right? Yeah. He said he's heard some weird stuff, but it's also hard because he's got really bad PTSD too. So
he's out there. Don't tell me he's making kill holes out there or whatever.
He's still he's a little bit still lost in Vietnam, but that happens, right? Yeah. So he spends a lot of time out there, and he used to bring back, like, anytime he would find like antlers, he'd bring them back because they were so rare to find, right?
Yeah.
Any kind of skull or anything like that, he'd find the bones or whatever, anything like reasonable, right? Like, nobody cares about a rib bone, right?
Yeah.
But like, he would bring stuff back, right? Because he would make bone knives and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he would decorate skulls and stuff. He was a hunter, so that was his thing. But it was a rare occasion. Like, he'd be super excited when he'd come back with something, because it's just not something you come across.
Yeah, and another thing, my second favorite comment I get on here is these people's like, "Oh, I've been hunting all my life and never seen nothing." Yo, so have I, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've been hunting the same South 40. That you're not up in 5 days by horseback up in the freaking up in some Canadian wilderness or whatever, right? So don't tell me just because you've hunted some plot of land for 50 years that your daddy took you to back in the day that you're the see all get all out there or whatever. No. And so,
and just think of the amount of it we've explored. Like, it's big. It's a big place. Searching it with a drone is one thing, right? Like, we've just gotten to the point where we can do that.
So here's the second thing too, man. When's the last time you've ever been inside of a cave?
I don't know that I've ever.
Bro,
I don't know that I ever have.
I've seen one cave one time, and I was like, I'm not going anywhere near that thing, right? Like, so,
no, that's a bad idea.
I stood on the outside of it. I saw one cave one time, and I was like, man, like, I just got this weird, like, I don't know why, man, like, it was about the same. I saw that cave, man, right after that stupid Blair Witch Project movie came out. I don't know why, man. Like, and I'm strapped. I'm saying,
yeah, right.
I'm strapped, and I'm like, yo, I will drop whatever's in that cave, and I'm like, man, I'm not rolling the dice with that, man. I'm not going in that cave, right? It did look cool, but like, I didn't go in there, and I have never been in a cave like that, right? A cave system like that. But I did one time, man. I did go down to I think it was Shenandoah Caverns on like 81 South. You ever been in there?
Yeah. I haven't been down there. I've been wanting to go down there for a while. We just never made it yet.
We went in there, man, and we went 1 mile. So I think we went if you go into the cavern and you go all the way to the end of it, man, it's 1 mile, right? Like, you go down to it, and they do this thing where they turn the lights off when you get in there, right? And bro, I tell you what, man, like, that right there is next level something that, like, we were talking, our last 2 episodes, we were talking about the fear of the dark. I tell you what, man, like, I could feel it, man.
That's the next level darkness.
Yeah, bro. So who knows where these things live or what they do or whatever, whatnot. But like, I just know that to this day, they get a lot of talk, man. They get a lot of conversations. And I've seen these terrible videos where, like, I can clearly tell, like, that clearly.
There's some of them that are definitely dudes in suits, right? For
fake,
sure.
Yeah,
clearly fake. And then see, that's what sucks, is it muddies the water, right?
Yeah.
No, I can't say I'm a believer, but I can't say I it's never been. You can't prove it. You can't disprove it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's something that's really, really, really hard to disprove, right? We're constantly finding new species of whatever, birds, plants, monkeys, whatever, insects. So, like, to pretend that we know all of it is just to be ridiculous, right? I don't know. I feel like definitely there's some dudes in suits out there trying to muddy the water and just get famous, or I don't know what motivates people like that to do that.
Yeah. So here I'll give you Bigfoot guys a piece of advice, man. You'll never get famous faking a Bigfoot video, right? Right? You just go with the gray aliens came into my room at night scenario, right?
Go with the alien abduction story. It's so much easier.
So much easier to fake, man. All right, and so, but stay out of the Bigfoot. Stay out of the Bigfoot area, man.
Right.
Here you go, man. Here's one more fun trivia question for you.
Sure.
What is the oldest Bigfoot story ever told?
The oldest Bigfoot story ever told.
The oldest Bigfoot story ever told.
So I don't remember any legends in Egyptian mythology about a Bigfoot. So I'm going to say, I don't know, the Assyrians, who knows? The
Close.
Greeks?
The Epic of Gilgamesh.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that
there's a big he had a BFF in there, man. That was a hairy wild man, basically describing a Bigfoot. Yeah.
So his ally.
Yeah, he had an ally. Like he had a Bigfoot.
Silent type.
No, they we should probably do a podcast
communicated?
on that story. Yeah, they talked, man. Yeah. They were running buddies, right? Yeah. And so the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Beowulf.
Huh?
Beowulf.
Yeah, that'd be a good one too, right? We should do a podcast, man, like tying in like mythologies. Like Norse mythology would be awesome, right? Like
I've got a interesting theory about all of that.
Tell me your theory, I'll tell you mine.
Okay, so all of these legends, right? All of these god legends, like Odin and Thor and whatever. I think that these were people at one point, right? I think that these people eventually, through the telephone game, evolved into gods, right? And I think that it's kind of a similar case with, okay, so the Greeks had their pantheon, right? Their gods. And then you had the Romans had very similar gods because they kind of just adopted the Greek gods and were like, yeah, see, sure. Because the Romans weren't really very spiritual, religious people, right? They were kind of very grounded in the now and the here. So yeah, they kind of just was like, yeah, the Greek gods are good enough for us. We'll do that. Right. But then each of these pantheons, right? I think that the evolution of these stories over generations and generations and generations to eventually reach to the point where they're written down, right? There's so much time between the writing and the person, the actual person that existed, who was probably a really cool guy, right? Odin was probably a really good tribal leader, right? And he lost his eye doing something, right? Like that. And that kind of his legend evolved from being this really good, awesome tribal leader to becoming a god.
It's so funny you brought that up, man, because I'm going to go in the opposite direction with that.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Odin is actually Satan. Satan the one eye. And so that's why everybody in Hollywood are always doing this. Because if you read the apocryphal writings that when Archangel Michael fought Satan took on the form of a dragon. And during the fight, when he was cast down, he lost his eye. So that's why look, Hollywood's all.
And then he hung in the tree, right?
So that's a different
tree. So they took his eye and they hung on the world tree to gain the knowledge.
So that's why Odin is considered the All-Father with the patch over his eye. Thor is considered the god of lightning, and Jesus said, "I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven." So I'm just saying, man. So look, I can tie this around, man. So you went that direction. I can go. Either way, man. We're totally gonna do that, man. We'll totally go down with that.
A little preview.
Yeah, a little preview on that, right? So there's some other things too in there. The other thing too in there that when you start getting into, I don't want to spoil our topic on it, but Ragnarok, right? They talk about the things that happen at Ragnarok, right? That goes down at the end on there, right, man? So we should compare Ragnarok to.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that.
Some of the stuff
and Revelation, because I know a little bit about both.
Yeah, so we should get into that, man. But Odin, completely Satan, man. Odin, one eye, believe.
Okay.
So you went with the good tribal leader. I said, nah, man, he's the prince of darkness, the prince of lies. But so that's a good topic, man. But anyway, so. All right, we're wrapping it up, you guys. That's our podcast for today, talking about Bigfoots or whatever. So I'm actually going to change my stance. I'm going to flip it around here and say that I'm actually going to say that the Patterson-Gimlin film is authentic. And I never noticed that was a female before. And if you guys that are watching this want to go dig deep, I mean, like, hey, some people are into Yetis, man. You never know. Like, you know,
it's just it gets me because it's a detail. I think that
that's the first time I've ever heard of a female Yeti sighting. Like, yeah, I slept on it. I didn't even know, but a female Yeti sighting. All right, everybody. When anybody, thanks for watching. If you stuck around this long, you're our type of losers, our type of nerds. So there's a subscription button on here somewhere. Hit that subscription. We're trying to break 500. We're up to 455, and I'm proud of that.
Hit that button.
Hit that button, and hit the bell for Rooster. Give it a thumbs up. Leave some comments on it as well, and stay tuned for next week. Jay, you got anything to walk us out?
Be safe and take care of yourselves.
And if you ever come across a female Yeti in the woods,
run away.
Get a picture. Oh, well, run away.
Get a picture.
Get a picture running away. So,
over your shoulder.
Over your shoulder. All right. We out.
Thanks.
Later.
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.